There's a great debate among independent filmmakers. Some say the most important tool for a project is money, the funding. Some say the resources, the best equipment, the best cameras, the newest technology, the best systems. Others say it's a professional team of close family and friends. A great team is what it takes to be successful, to make the best project you guys can muster. I say it's all of the above. But that doesn't have to be the end of the discussion. And I may not be right. I mean, there are countless examples of people who have made beautifully successful projects, and they didn't have any money. They didn't have the best camera. All they had was a team. This debate isn't really open discussion, and often only is perceptible if you watch and listen close to your family and friends who make or aspire to make films. Initially, for the longest time, I had given up on film and storytelling. I wasn't making any money. I dropped out of film school to pursue film, but life happened. Now, 16 years later, I'm interviewing the associate dean of the school that I dropped out of, talking about certain processes that were eliminated due to the advancement of technology, or potentially even how tools like cameras have become better.
Yeah.
It's easier to get funding for a project, or
I wish that was the case. Yeah. I'll do the most professory thing that you can do, which is like refuse to answer the premise of the question.
Okay.
I look at the media industries as more cyclical than evolution, as if it's moving towards a thing. It's more like we see similar moments repeating, right? And so the current moment about AI is a panic about the way in which new technology is coming in and changing jobs and taking jobs, and that's not wrong, right? There is a reshuffling, but we've seen similar moments with streaming, with home video, with color, with television, right? And so the history of the media industries is one of perpetual crisis and stasis. And the ways in which we figure out how to incorporate new technology and create new jobs for that technology. Now, the people who suffer the most in each of these technological moments are those on the bottom of the sort of pay scale, the below the line work, right? And the ways we get into the industry change depending on what's happening at those different moments. But it's always sort of a moment of, storytelling still works no matter what the medium is, right? And the genre still works no matter what the medium is. And we always kind of find our way back to a moment of stasis. We're in a particular moment of coming off of the streaming wars, in which there was just a ton of money in the space where companies were not being asked to demonstrate return on investment. That came to an end after the pandemic. And it was something that in our field we've been saying for 10 years. This doesn't make any sense. Like what Netflix is able to do with the venture capital money is not realistic to what is actually happening in terms of the profits that they are making. So at some point there's going to be a course correction. And we are living in the course correction at the same time that we're seeing global markets get all tossed around, and we see new technology coming. And if we look at the history, these are moments that have happened before, right? That film and television have gone through these moments. So I would say it's more cyclical, and we're in one of the dips at the moment, and trying to figure out what is going to be the new normal.
Have you got a penny? Penny? What do you want with a penny? I'm going to give you a present. It's a sharp gift. Let's see. I'll have to look.
One of the biggest changes in the history of filmmaking is in the introduction of sound.
Yeah, sound too.
Sound. Before that, they could be filming 10 scenes at the same time.
Yeah.
Would you say that it's easier now than ever before to make money in the film industry? Whether it be content creation, whatever?
Yeah, because Like I said before, you don't have to have the greatest camera. You can just use a phone. You know what I'm saying? You got social media, you can upload, and it's easy to get monetized on social media. So yeah, there's definitely ways to go out and create content.
Some say content creation isn't filmmaking. Others say they're related. Either way, you're right. Filmmakers and content creators express the same thoughts and emotions, the same phone calls, the same conversations are had, the same phrases are used.
Camera 1 is officially rolling.
It's for you, sir.
You got some tape.
The same deliberations, the same debates.
Brilliant though. I loved it.
I started again with complete uncertainty and a GoPro. With no script, no real plan.
All right, we're rolling.
And without much help. How fast can I do it?
How long does it take to make anything? I suppose it began when I was a child.
This might be the most difficult thing I've ever done. I've heard stories about ideas being taken, but is that true? Is that what's really happening? Am I imagining that this happened to me? Did it? It seems so real. It seems so...
You, because I'm putting it out there. If you need to steal my ideas for you to be successful, then more power to you. But I'm going to keep putting mine out there, and mine are going to get noticed as mine at some point. Maybe I have a few stolen along the way, but at some point it's going to be massively successful for me. And if you can just free yourself from worrying about that, you can at least put some ideas out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like if this sort of like putting your ideas out there could be like a, you know what, I don't give a if you take it,
So, everything's up for debate. What would you risk for the creative storytelling art? Would you quit your job? Would you stand in the storm? For the stuntman, filmmaking is risky business. Do you put your relationship at risk? Is a story worth that to you? National Geographic photographers risk sometimes their life for one image, one picture. It's not recommended for the uncommitted. You have to be committed. You have to potentially risk your relationships, your family, possibly friendships. Now this. How fast can I make a documentary? How fast can I make anything? What am I even doing? I'm gonna find out. Either the hard way or the good way. How hard is it to make a movie?
Orson Welles said, "A writer needs a pen. A painter needs a brush. A filmmaker needs an army."
This project started as a promo video. I initially had given up on filmmaking, but one day I just decided, man, this is the only thing that I'm good at, the only thing that my mind will let me try to do.
Okay, now's not the time to do this. I'm sitting in traffic, but I will literally forget if I do not write this down, but we're in traffic, so it'll be fine. Always drive safely, good God. I will literally forget this, and then it'll be lost if I do not write this down right now.
Come on. I don't have time for this. Somehow, suddenly, all of my problems have disappeared. And now, that one thing that has never left my mind I can finally do something about it. It'll be worth it if just one person. I have to do something about this. Man, I have ADHD for real. You need to drive safely, man. Well, wait. How does this even relate to filmmaking? Well, okay, so everyone drives, so indirectly driving to and from set, it relates. I mean, it's not unrelated. Plus, the connection that I've been thinking about is directly related. Oh my God. Coordinated interstate pileup scenes for a film are safer than just regular interstate travel. Statistically, at least, that is true. Please drive safely, people. Don't rush. Slow way down. Way down. I have hyperattentive perception and neuroplastic intuitive neurosis. Ha! Now I'm the psychologist.
But I feel like we're all kind of going in different directions. I think if we all got on the same page as it relates to how to help one another and how to be team everybody and maybe kind of leave some of the Hollywood factor out of it, I think we'd be a lot farther.
So we're meeting Cindy here in the lobby for an interview.
Shh, crap. There's no audio.
This hotel. However, the noise of it.
Sound is the most difficult part for you to fake it because
The light.
Instead of maybe buying an expensive
I like it.
piece of
If
equipment.
it works. If the lighting looks okay, then there's no reason not to do it.
There's your lighting.
Yeah, Juan taught me this. Well, I mean, the concept of whatever you have, use it.
But he did confirm with you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Just stay still. I hope so.
Well, I hope so too. Did you give him an address of where we're located?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
It's hot.
So, do you do, now that all this different footage is being done, do you typically do your own editing, or do you hire someone or work with someone?
Yes.
And that means you work with someone or you do it yourself?
Yes.
And so which is
So you're
it?
learning. Somebody's teaching you.
It's always a learning process, so I feel like, no matter what.
Sit down. I'm very sorry. I'm trying to get the landing right. You must understand. I want to get the landing right.
Do you happen to have a specific editing software that you use? Do you use editing software?
I don't even have a computer.
Okay. So you're gonna have to hand this off then to somebody for editing, because you have to have, like, everything's on there, right? Like Adobe or DaVinci or all that stuff is on a computer. So someone else is obviously gonna have to film it. I mean, meaning edit, cut the footage, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Okay. That was the question I had. Yeah, because I was curious about the editing part, because a lot of times when I interview filmmakers, the number one thing they talk about.
Ask me a question about what made you want to do this project.
Okay. So, I think I asked you this before, but I'm curious, why specifically was it important for you? Why specifically was it important for you to do this project?
Why was it important? I don't know what the question is.
Yeah, that is the question. So, like, for instance, I knew when I wanted to start a radio show, I had a purpose. I had a reason. There were reasons I wanted to interview those people.
Why did I do this?
Yeah.
Serendipity.
That answer. Serendipity. It's a good answer. Which is why
that's what happened.
No, I get you. And what's the end game with this? What do you want to see happen with this project at the end of the day?
Just tap it in.
I can't tell you the one thing that I want to see.
Okay.
Personally, that I want to keep secret until I know that it happens. But one thing that I can tell you is I want to somehow change traffic patterns.
Department of Transportation. I've been there over.
Traffic patterns.
Yes.
What do you do at the DOT?
I study traffic patterns. You hit the brakes for a second, just tap them on the freeway. You can literally track the ripple effect of that action across a 200-mile stretch of road. Because traffic has a memory. It's amazing. It's like a living organism. Freshen that up for you. Was it vodka martini?
Yeah.
Ladies.
Do you foresee Atlanta's traffic patterns becoming similar to that of what LA is?
Yeah, and I'm already hearing it. I'm already hearing it from my colleagues up in Chattanooga. I'm hearing it from my colleagues in Augusta. Greenville's starting to become a boom now. Birmingham is on the cusp of turning the corner if the state of Alabama can create some incentives. Right now, the happening place, surprisingly, is Louisville, Kentucky. I mean, Louisville's matched Georgia, and it's cheaper to live, and the state is wide open. And if you can get used to some of the changing patterns of the weather and take your butt 4.5 to 5 hours up the 75, you can make it work.
I found something. I discovered something. I recognized this pattern. When you stop and go and stop and go.
When you're on the interstate,
Yes.
the slinky effect of stop and go.
Yeah. Oh, I get what you're saying. Okay.
People hit the gas and then brake, and then hit the gas and then brake, and then hit the gas and then brake. And I'm like, hold on.
Yeah, so essentially the concept is that, and I've done this so many times already, and I've proven it to myself, but so essentially the concept is if you when the person in front of you eases off the brake and they start to go, they hit the gas. Don't hit the gas. Just ease off the brake and just cruise. You're going to create a gap. You're going to want to hit the gas and go. But I've done this
multiple times. I've had my window down. It was going so slow, and I said to the person, hey, try this with me.
Maybe tap the brake. Don't hit the brake and hold the brake. Tap the brake.
Just tap it in. Just tap it in.
I'm listening.
Tap the room.
And so if you do that, and I've done it so many times, and I've noticed that when I do that.
Hold on 1 second. Hello? Hello?
Okay, so when you're stopping and going.
What do you do with the DOT? That's study traffic patterns. You hit the brakes for a second, just tap them on the freeway. You can literally track the ripple effect of that action across a 200-mile stretch of road.
So, for example, you stopped. You start going. Stop. Start going. Slow down. Stop. Start going. Stop. Start going. Slow down. Stop. Start going. But let's say everyone just gives it a little tappy and moves slowly. Everyone's gapped. Everyone moves slowly. Then you can begin to increase in speed if you just go and move slowly. You'll go faster.
And start to cruise. Yeah, you create a gap. You'll create a gap. But you'll realize once they stop in front of you, by the time they go again, you're still moving. Actual goal here is impossible to achieve alone. I cannot do this alone. I need your help. I need your participation. There's something intrinsic that I can see here. There's something about the way we drive that is wrong. I just passed a garbage truck, and everyone was going around, speeding around the garbage truck. And the guy that was picking up the garbage and returning the bins to people's homes could not get back onto the truck because cars were just speedily going around. And as a result of that, they were causing additional traffic to accumulate. If they were to have just waited, they would have gone faster. Okay, now check this out. Got the GoPro strapped to my head. Notice the large gap in front of me, and the person's riding their brakes. I'm tapping. Just giving it a little tappy. And notice, now I have to stop. So look what's going on. If I were to have hit the gas, I would have had to have stopped early. Now I'm gonna do it again. Watch. I'm creating a gap and I'm just tapping. Uh-oh, look. Now they're going again, but I'm still not going to hit the gas. I'm just gonna roll, and the gap's gonna get bigger. See what I'm doing? I'm eliminating the slinky. Now watch. I'm tapping as they're braking. I'm just tapping. The gap's getting bigger. I'm still rolling. Now watch. the slinky is gonna catch up to me.
Okay. Let me go backwards in time. Last night, I was driving. Okay, I start recording just as I begin to do the tapping the brake. Now, okay, let's go back a little bit. Now, I'm going to go forward in time. The cars are passing me. The cars in the right lane brake. Now I'm going. Now I'm braking. Now the cars to my right are going forward. Okay. Right here I start, see, I made the mistake of starting recording right when I started the technique of leaving a big gap in front of me and then just tapping on the brake and not accelerating. But I was in stop and go traffic here, and I started recording right as I started doing it. Now watch. People are going to start passing me because I'm going a little bit slower, but I'm maintaining the gap. Now watch this truck. Because I've started this, somehow just one person doing this maybe is causing it at this point in time, but they're passing me. Okay, now I'm passing them. No one's getting too far ahead of me. All the people that are hitting the gas and going are still in the same position they're in relative to me. I'm literally doing nothing except for occasionally just tapping, just glancing the brake if I'm going downhill, and just maintaining a slight pressure on the gas if I'm going uphill. You'll see this truck never gets too far ahead of me. And up here, look, I'm following this semi-truck that's right here. I'm passing him now. I'm staying right where this truck is, this 18-wheeler. I'm maintaining a large gap. See this guy right here? He just hit the accelerator. And he just brakes right there. He hit the accelerator, got excited, and then he braked. Now look, watch. Right here, see where they were braking? I didn't even have to brake because I was just cruising. I didn't hit the gas. If everybody does this, I'm telling you, if everybody just releases the brake and just briefly for 2 or 3 minutes just tap the brake and try to drive intelligently. Look, this guy's changing lanes. But the point of this traffic, look, the whole cause of this traffic, I didn't even realize, was everybody has to change lanes. So don't change lanes because you cannot perceive what's ahead on the highway. Everyone who changed into my lane before, when I started the clip, now has to stop and change back into the lane they were in. I'll try this.
Sure.
If enough people do it, maybe it will save people time in traffic.
Don't worry about it. You're still in good shape. All you gotta do is just tap it in. Just tap it in now. Hey, just tap it in. I'm good. No matter how many times you save the world, it always manages to get back in jeopardy again. I mean, sometimes I just want it to stay saved, you know, for a little bit. I feel like the maid. I just cleaned up this mess. Can we keep it clean for 10 minutes? Hollywood's dead.
You can conjure spirits from the past and the future.
I don't think I could do this, but if you were somewhat willing to buy more into the delusions of grandeur of all of it, you could view yourself as the person who single-handedly saves the world, you know, and that allure is real, you know, and very frustrating, I think, to a lot of people who are then put in a position where, like, they have to choose between, Do I take the swing that will maybe save Hollywood, or do I not get fired? And often they choose not get fired.
Yeah.
The magic of Hollywood, I think, is one movie, one weekend can change the entire outlook of the entire industry. You know,
Like
what I
the
mean?
Barbie movie.
Well, honestly, and that changed the whole show. Like, the show was much more bleak as we were writing it initially, and then the Barbie Oppenheimer thing happened, and we were like, everything's different. Literally, like, on Friday it was impossible, and on Monday it was possible. And that is, I think, also, like, what's so frustrating about Hollywood and what is alluring about these delusions of grandeur, especially if you run a movie studio, is that you think you might be the person to course correct all of the world. And what's also funny about that is singular people have done that. Like, it's an industry where you can, like, very easily root entire new directions to one person. Like, Robert Evans changed the course of Hollywood. James Cameron changed the course of Hollywood. Ted Sarandos changed the course of Hollywood. Greta Gerwig changed the course of Hollywood. Christopher Nolan changed the course of Hollywood. And it happens all the time. And so you see how, I don't think I could do this, but if you were somewhat willing to buy more into the delusions of grandeur of all of it, you
twins? Nah, we cousins.
There are legends of people with the gift of making music so true. It can conjure spirits from the past and the future.
When people tell me it's impossible, I say,
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah!
music adds a significant value to a film. Your favorite film almost requires music. So many iconic songs, tones, melodies, tunes fill our hearts and minds. Whether it be the James Bond Nintendo 64 theme, the Jaws theme. Music brings tone to a film. It brings suspense. It can even add to a film in its absence. The soundtrack to a film, in a way, is almost 50% of the film.
Well, there it is.
What song was it? What was it, Dave? I can't keep them satisfied. Oh, God. They asked me one time in interview, he said, yeah. But my favorite is the, do you know the Gimme Shelter story? You know that song? You know, Gimme Shelter, Gimme Shelter. About Vietnam, where they got the little line of the woman going, Red, it's only just a shadow. Yeah. It's this girl singing the background. They're in, I think, New York City.
I love that.
It's like 1959. And she was a gospel singer. She's pregnant, and they knocked on her door and got a limousine out. She got curlers in her hair. She's pregnant.
Boy, did we have some time to listen. So it was like very late at night, and I was very, a little pregnant. Had curlers and the whole thing in my head, getting ready to go to bed. And we got a call, Mary, there's a group of guys in town called Rolling Somebodies, and they're from England, and they need somebody that will sing with them. They picked me up with silk pajamas on, a mink coat, and a Chanel scarf on my head.
We said it would be wonderful if a woman sang this part about that I'd written about rape, murder, and all this. It was in the middle of the night, and we thought, well, we would love to have a woman sing this part. I didn't know her, and from Adam. And then she turned up in her curlers. She was in bed and she got out of bed. And, you know, it was a kind of raunchy part to sing.
I said, what? Rape, murder? It's just a shot away. I started to sing, oh, children, it's a shot away, it's a shot away, with Mick.
She sings the lyrics right along me and with a lot of personality, which is what was needed.
I went in again and I did that pass on the part that says, rape, murder, just a shot away. So I had to go up another octave.
You know, you do these things at sort of 2 in the morning and then you come in the next day and you go, what the hell, that's good.
Yeah. I don't hear a hand clap.
Who was singing?
You're just gonna wake up.
They're just top 5 movies.
Okay.
No category.
Tell me
top
this:
5.
is Godfather 1 or 2 one of them?
2 is one of my
Okay.
top 5.
Absolutely. I know this isn't fair, but I say Godfather 1 and 2 was one movie, so I put that as like my number 1.
Yeah.
What did you think about Goodfellas? I put that in my top 5.
I love
Goodfellas is
Goodfellas,
awesome.
but that's not my top 5.
Okay, would you say Shawshank?
Shawshank is in my
Okay.
top 5.
Would you say Hoosiers?
Hoosiers.
No, I'm coming to get it. Okay, would you put Hoosiers as your best sports film? I just watched that with the kids when
No,
Jim
Raging Bull.
Yeah, Raging Bull. Dude, good movie. Yeah. Very good movie. But
Raging Bull would be over.
Yeah.
These are the conversations I live for. What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite scene? Who's your favorite
But
actor?
there's no, like, they don't take the clothes off and all that.
Yeah.
Which, that's hard to find nowadays.
It's so good.
And Grandpa Jack, everybody needs a Grandpa Jack in their lives. I just love the story. He's the staple one.
Okay.
So he has a daughter and 2 granddaughters. The daughter and son-in-law get divorced or whatever, separate, I guess, or divorce, whatever. Because it's about rodeo and horses, but you don't have to like rodeo and horses to enjoy the show.
Okay.
Right. So the son-in-law got hurt at a rodeo and he got on pills, got to drinking. So Grandpa kicked him off out of the home, and so.
But you gotta go back to season 1 to start. You have to start.
You have to start at season 1. Nowadays you can do that. So it starts out that the 2 granddaughters, Jack is raising the 2 granddaughters, because I don't know if I should tell her.
What season are you on? Yeah, what season are you on?
I've seen all of them.
This is like in The Incredibles when Mr. Incredible comes in and sits down, you know. This is something.
That's fine.
I can break through walls, I just can't.
That's fine.
Get this.
Was there ever a moment in your early life or early career where this moment sticks out in your memory as the pivotal moment that you decided to become a filmmaker?
Absolutely. When I was 9.5 years old, my father, who was an airline pilot, came home from a trip on a Friday night. And this was May 25th of 1977. And he said, hey, tomorrow we're going to the movies. I walked in wanting to be like my dad and be a pilot. I walked out wanting to make movies, wanting to know how they did that. And that literally grew into that. I can pinpoint the moment in time, which is kind of interesting of what changed my life. But that's what, and a lot of people have that same story. A lot of people in this business carry that story with them. I know Peter Jackson has the same story. There's a lot of big directors have the same story. It's just, that's how seminal a movie that was. people that weren't there to see it in the theater at a young age, I don't think can appreciate really how groundbreaking it was, because things now are so visual and everything pops out and there's so much going on with movies, but it's a very simple story and it works great. Yeah, sorry. It's just so between takes if I need to.
It's not in the frame.
I was making a noise with it.
With the noise, yeah.
I was popping.
We can keep the noise.
You know, sometimes I was doing this.
I can clean it.
Do you shampoo and condition?
Yes. Okay, yes, I do shampoo and condition and probably more hair products than you will ever use.
Was there a moment in your sort of early life or career where this moment is something that you remember as the definitive moment where you decided you got to be a filmmaker?
It was a combination of moments, truly. My father was a photographer, and he started introducing video for weddings. And I was 12, and I told him, "Hey, can I, play with that?" The biggest incentive to move forward was that when I did that edit after he was done with his, my father decided to show that my tape to the client too, and the client decided to take mine instead of his edit. That incentivized that, I was onto something, right?
Right.
The clients liked my edit, and from there I started working with my father on that business, and then I started asking, can we have these shots? Because I wanted them for editing, so then I started to grab the camera, so I've been doing this for a while, even though it sounds like I'm really dating myself. I'm working on that, but I was 12 years old when I started, so it's an odd thing.
You've heard the term hurry up and wait. That's such a filmmaking term, because the way your day on a film set works is each department is there to do their job, but your job may not be needed right then. So you're being paid essentially really good money to hurry up and wait. As a special effects person, you'll sit there all day and do nothing for 9 hours, then suddenly they go, okay, we're ready to blow up the whatever.
Hello. Okay. Oh. Heard. Copy that. All right, back. Hurry up and wait.
Every day. So it can be, hurry up and wait is what this business is kind of based on. That in turn means you have to have a lot of patience and also resilience. Resilience is a big thing in this business. I tell filmmakers all the time, especially, that the best analogy for this business is you're fighting a dragon. Are you going to run away, or are you going to pick up your sword and run right back at the dragon? Because that's what this business is. It really is.
Talk about the lingo of filmmaking. You will hear that it's a lot of military stuff, like even this word shooting.
Right.
Because it is a military operation. It is putting a bunch of people
Don't move
together.
Don't move.
Like I did my first 48-hour challenge. We had 60 people in between cast and crew for a 48-hour short film, and you need that amount of people sometimes to get things done.
Wow. So the filmmaking process, I will start from my acting side. I lived in Hollywood, like I said, about 18, 19 years. Lived in East Hollywood, mid-city, if you know the city like I do, from top to bottom. I know it very well, from all the way up in Sylmar, all the way down to Long Beach and beyond. But I went to school, Cal State LA, for business management and marketing. That was my thing. Started working at a newspaper, copy editing, learning about Adobe in its initial stage, and working for some big name magazines that were on the action sports side. Did music reviews for the record labels. But I wanted to transition because I saw the film thing on a daily basis in Hollywood, but I just didn't know how to reach it, what my role could be, etc. So a friend of mine, he was a good-looking gentleman, and he was always getting requested to be on set. So we decided to go to central casting, like a lot of people do. Went to Burbank, signed up, and for whatever reason, I always got casted for either a villain or a cop. So I was either evading the law or arresting people. So eventually, it just kind of became my thing, and I started doing a lot of extra work. Just to pass the time while I was still going to school. So it was paying a decent amount for me to still have my apartment, go to college, and make a somewhat of a decent living. And one day I just went to the back lot over at Paramount. A friend of mine had a catering company, and he called me up when I was doing it. He said, "Hey, you want to just serve coffee and do some crafty for me? I got a gig over at Paramount." I said, "Let's do it." So I went up there and helped him, and then 2 stages over, there was an AD that came over to talk to one of her girlfriends, and she looked at me and said, "What are you doing over here on serving coffee? You're supposed to be on our set." I said, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "You're not our cop on Primal Fear." And I said, "What?" And then so my buddy Breck, he was like, "Forget what they're saying. Just go, just cheat it." So went over to their set, and the AD looked at me when the PA brought me, and she said, "I don't know where our guy is. He looks perfect. Just get him suited up, send him over to the trailer, run a contract for him." So next thing you know, they walked me over to the trailer, moved some name over, put Dwight Dyer, my name, and yeah, it was just a fantastic time to be in Hollywood. There was so much work. And that's pretty much how I got my start. But just like anything else, nothing lasts forever. Economy took a turn. The earthquake came. The riots came. And I said, I want to grow up. So I moved to Las Vegas and bought a house and started a family. Yeah.
You moved to Las Vegas.
I moved to Las Vegas. So that's kind of the trajectory. If you can't make it in LA, there's 3 cities that Angelinos will generally move to. They'll move to Phoenix, they'll move to Denver, and they'll move to Vegas. So around that time, a lot of people started making the transition, and I found myself in Viva Las Vegas, not doing any film work, but doing some of the work that I originally wanted to do. Was I wanted to get into the medical field because that's what my mother did. So I just transitioned altogether. Was in the medical field.
I grew up in Arizona, and in the summer it's 120 degrees. And so I'd spend the morning playing basketball, but the rest of the day in the house watching movies. And my family liked watching movies, and we had a pretty good collection, and then we would go to the movie theater all the time. So I think it was just the Arizona heat in general that kind of forced me indoors. Mm-hmm. And my family were classic film lovers, right? So they would show you, I mean, I got a pretty decent education from an early age of here's stuff from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and on up. And then obviously we were watching things that were coming out then. So I think if there was a moment, it's the first sweltering Arizona summer where I went inside and was like, what are we going to do? And, raided the video cassette case.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people, when, they turn 16, they get a car. I got a VHS player for my room. So that tells you where my priorities were.
Well, it started when I was probably in high school. I saw a few films. It was really Stanley Kubrick, his filmography, that made me want to explore this. Yeah. I mean, I just thought his storytelling was just so fantastic, and it was I don't know, it was very engaging, right? Mm. And it seemed simple, but I knew that there's a lot of thought behind that.
Yeah.
So after just watching those films, I just picked up a camera, and I would just take photos and do little videos of myself and my family. Mm. So I just turned into my family's photographer. And so yeah, I took some photography classes, I applied for a news station, and I kind of got into journalism through a love for the camera. Hmm. Yeah, and so now, after I guess my 20s, and moving here to Atlanta, I kind of want to push that a little bit more. I kind of want to be more of a crafter instead of a documentarian, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
A journalist. Yeah.
Yeah. my ninth grade English teacher. I remember this moment. I remember it. There was a writing assignment that we did, a creative writing assignment, and she was passing everybody's graded papers back. And she was passing them out. She comes to me, and she says, "Brandon, this is really good. You should be a writer." And then she just continues and passes it out the next one to the next kid. And I was like, was there a moment for you that was similar to that, where it was this initiating moment in your memory that stands out as like, oh, this is the deciding factor?
Right. Absolutely. I had originally studied to be an architect, and then I switched to photography, even though in my head I kind of wanted to be a filmmaker. But at that time in my life, I didn't feel like that was a reality that was even attainable at all. So I finally took the leap my senior year of college, and our first film assignment was to take one reel of 16 millimeter black and white film and shoot it and edit it, and create a short film. And I wrote and storyboarded to a T what I wanted, because that's not a lot to play with. So you need to be pretty tight with your shots.
Yeah.
Know what you want, get it, get out.
Right.
And did it. And my instructor said it was the best first project he'd ever seen. And I think it was at the end of the class, though, that he said, you know, you're more talented than you know, and you really need to keep going. And that's the moment.
I like that it's conversational. Do you guys know what Meisner is? The Meisner technique of in any conversation. You know how sometimes there's a repetition of something. Meisner is repeating just the same thing.
Excellent.
I always when I think of sound, the first thing for some reason I get a visual of a clapboard.
I have
Where it begins, right?
Yeah, where it all begins. I have a slate. I have a Betzo slate, which is a time code slate with the big numbers on it and everything. And it's one of my favorite devices. That one slate has gotten me more jobs than all my gear put together.
Has the digital on it?
Mm-hmm. It has the time. What's fancy about it is that it has the numbers being displayed, and then when you click it, it shows you the date and it shows you.
Is it all digital? Does it have?
No, you write on it.
Oh.
And then just that part is digital.
Right. Huh.
I don't like the full. There's one digital slate that came out recently where it's all digital. It's kind of the same. It's the same company that makes the what's that? You know, what's that reading one?
Take a look. It's in a book. A reading rainbow.
So I have a master's degree in music composition, and composition and technology, and a minor in physics. So like.
Fascinating. Let's go back to Dr. Wei-Ping Yu. Dr. Wei-Ping Yu responded to Terrence Howard in a podcast. Take a look at this. It's fascinating.
Made electron model wrong. This is electron is elementary particles. In physics, is found that elementary particle cannot be subdivided, do not have another detailed structure or something. And we get even.
He's describing that. So with quantum mechanics, applying to film, look, quantum mechanics is the mathematical and scientific description of the entire universe, from the microscopic to the macroscopic. Let's say everything inside this circle is the universe.
I had to refill the memory card.
Filmmaking is everything inside this circle. Filmmaking is inside the universe. So, according to quantum mechanics, just following the logic here, quantum mechanics is describing all of this,
And it's also describing filmmaking. So you really do have to understand the entire universe if you're going to be creating a universe.
Composition and technology and a minor in physics. So like I wanted to do something different with music. I wanted to be avant-garde. I want to go down to like the art side of music. But that doesn't pay. So what I did was I got a job at ESPN Plus as a sound mixer for, I did like a 2,000 to 1,000 like sports events.
This is the smoothest cameraman to ever exist as he uses rollerblades to minimize shaking, but the final outcome of the shot is even more impressive. Watch how he just effortlessly glides around the basketball court without any mistakes. And just look how smooth the shot came out.
To answer your question, the moment that really sold it for me that I liked this job was when we did a one shot on this short film, because I was like, I don't know, this guy holding a stick seems kind of cool. I shot a oneer which involved going through, it was like I had to boom through a window, then climb down a ladder, and then my second boom op got them walking out of the house, and then I picked them walking back out of the house, and we landed right there. And then I coordinated that whole thing, and we had less than 5 minutes to coordinate because it was just like, he wants to do it. We have we only have 2 takes,
So
and we got it.
It was like chaos trying to figure it out.
But it was such a, if you ever play sports,
yeah,
it's that moment where you're not, your hands, your body, and your brain are in sync doing something. It's that like I feel the most comfortable and calm I've ever been, and I have ADHD, so to have a moment where I have a clarity in my head, was the moment. I literally, and then I saw it in theaters, and I sat there. I'm like, I did that.
Right.
And when that was my revelation that like I want to be the best at this. I want to do this.
Interesting.
From then on in, I was taking film classes through undergrad, and I did my master's at UCLA and my PhD at UC Santa Barbara. And then out of PhD, I got a job here at GSU. I've been here for 13 years since. So pretty much either studying film or working sports video to pay for studying film, and working at a media industries research center while in my PhD, and now here. So in academia for quite a while.
Yeah. What'd you do in sports video?
So we would get things on the listserv all the time when I was an undergrad from like ESPN, and they'd say, hey, we're coming into film softball, and we need somebody to like hold a camera and not fall down. Yeah. And I was pretty good at not falling down, and I learned how to hold the camera. And every time they would come back, I would try and do it again, and I got to do more and more, for a very small amount of pay, but also a lot of good experience. And, it was cool that I got to do some of the coming out of a commercial, panning the camera for the score, and like, that's my camera that's panning. So that kind of stuff, yeah. And then when I was at UCLA, I worked for their sports video department for doing like strategy video and for highlight videos. So I was up on like a giant scissor lift recording football practice to see like the strategy and stuff so that coaches could review it. So I did that all through my master's.
You're not afraid of heights?
No, but I, you think California, oh, nice weather and everything. But when you get like 50, 60 feet up in the air, that breeze from the ocean starts hitting you. And so I was like scarf, beanie, gloves and everything, which you wouldn't think in like a, California spring you would need.
What do you think about prank videos?
I wrote a book about the way we use our mobile device in our in-between moments.
What is that book?
It's The Procrastination Economy, the big business of downtime. And it's essentially about like the way the entertainment industry creates content for our in-between moments, like watching things at your desk. And as the mobile devices grew, it became about all these in-between moments in which we watch that snackable content.
Are pranksters growing? I feel like there's a market growing of pranksters that are kind of like messing with people's businesses and doing things, disrupting the store. Is that problematic potentially? Is there a way to do that respectfully? I mean, almost no.
I would love to see the respectful way to knock down things in a store. That would be interesting to see. I would say it's another cyclical, right? So if we look at like the history of adolescence, Halloween starts out as in America as like a prank war, right? Of just like basically ruining the town until we switch it to trick-or-treating, right? And so there's a lot of this stuff that's been around for a long time. I do think the internet's ability to amplify things makes us more aware of it and encourages more, copycat of it. So certainly I would say that there's more opportunity to find kindred spirits who would be interested in the same thing than there may have been in the past. But those kinds of pranks have been around for a long time.
I sat over the thing, and that was my and I remember sitting there remembering that moment in it wasn't that one or shot hadn't happened yet, so I just remember making the switch, regretting my entire life, like what am I doing?
Wow.
But then the next short film after that was that one shot.
Yeah.
So I was in that moment when I was doing that one shot. I was like, all right, I'll give it my all. And if I don't like this, I'll never go back to this. And that one shot saved everything. Now it's been 5 years, and now I'm running entire feature films by myself.
Nice.
So it's been a journey.
Wow.
By the way, that's how I met him.
That's a very unique story. Do you guys know what Meisner is? Meisner is repeating just the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to see if we can go back into this thing that I've been thinking about with Meisner and editing, coming up with a new Meisner technique that has to do with directing and editing.
Where you can go to school, get a master's degree, but never have done anything. See, the problem is you want your plumber to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You want your electrician to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You want your doctor to know what he's doing.
Right.
But in filmmaking, the people teaching it, some of them ain't done nothing. They just got the piece of paper.
Right.
But that's the problem is that, and I'm not saying that you can't get away with the paper because maybe you're teaching core courses.
Right.
But the problem that I've had and I've seen, and I got years of experience, a lot of people, if you only knew that they didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
And I mean specifically film and TV.
And do you know why?
Why teachers should have some, how a business works from the education. So that's a problem. Yeah. I've seen it happen too many times. So when I went to film school,
they teach the art and not the business.
Well, when I went to school, well, they just don't have no experience. In other words, let me give you my example, personally. Some friends and I realized when we went to film school that the teachers had never done anything. And so that's why nobody left the program and went further. Most people left the program and went to news, they went to radio,
right?
They went to the music business.
Right.
Because the teachers did not know how to teach with hey,
based on a
here's
real
the
world
next level. Because they didn't have no real world.
Right.
They never worked they may have worked in a news station, may have worked in a radio station, but it wasn't like they were top shelf. And really, to be honest with you, none of them had ever worked with anybody who was top shelf.
I don't buy into the you've got to know this person or that person.
One thing I've always heard about this industry and really about any work environment, it's all who you know. And I really didn't comprehend at all what that even means. Before I thought it meant, oh, I've got to somehow meet this person or this big name or that person who's got a lot of money. And maybe it doesn't mean that. Maybe it means I haven't developed the relationships with the people that I know well enough. And I started doing that instead of focusing on all these other people. And then all of a sudden things started falling into place. And I don't know if that's maybe the answer to anyone who's got a frustration about the phrase, it's all who you know. When it comes to the new generation of filmmakers, what do you foresee as being potentially problematic, and what do you see that is a positive?
Okay, so the problematic is I see character. I think that some of the younger people have lost their character when doing business.
The traveled penny, while less shiny, holds its weight in value, and even rings an audibly different tune, being that one of the properties of copper is a higher pitched resonant frequency, whereas zinc produces a dampened thud or clunk.
I want to see some of your mannerisms. I want to see how you get along with others.
Zinc and copper are both essential, However, copper's versatility in electrical and magnetic applications lends to its higher value within electronics like wiring, circuitry, CCTV video systems, etc.
Are you just going to say, hi, we're shooting, get out of the way? Or are you going to be like, nice to meet you, thank you so much for allowing us to utilize your location?
Not to be discounted, zinc finds its way into cameras as well, providing for a lighter weight for camera housing and lens mounts. The metaphor stands.
Character, mannerisms, I think there's still a little window for that. And I'm not seeing that in the younger generations. It's like, hey, we got your 5K, can we shoot at your location tomorrow? No, you can't. Can we double it to 10K? Doesn't matter. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, the second half to your question. So the positive is that more stories are being told. That's what I like. The old stories, the love, two people meeting, having circumstance, situation, coming back full circle. That's getting boring now. There's so many unique stories being told now. And I think as the country's demographics is changing, whether the language or the belief, people are starting to get engaged in different types of storytelling. So I think that's, watching a movie about a Muslim and Ramadan, or watching a LGBT couple live amongst a very conservative community, or seeing a young person in business that might be DEI when we're so used to seeing an old Caucasian man running a Fortune 500 company. A lot of different stories are being told now, and I did not see that growing up. I saw one or two stories, right? I saw the villain stuff, I saw the love stuff, and I think that is making the new generation of filmmaking very, very unique.
The only thing you've seen aardvark is on the cartoon. Mm-hmm. And here I am driving around the airport, and one comes out right in front of an aardvark. I'm taking pictures of it. It's a beautiful aardvark. I come back, I want to see an aardvark. I said,
it was an aardvark. It wasn't beautiful.
It's
an aardvark.
You've never seen a wild aardvark. It's beautiful. Out in the wild.
Joanna will remember this.
We followed them for a couple miles.
Yeah, we just followed them.
They'd zigzag around the road.
And they're just walking along beside the car.
Right in front of us, they'd sit down. And then when I'd come back out, as soon as we come out, I saw that no entry sign. And I said, yeah, I didn't see that sign. But I just saw the cheetahs and we just tracked them. But we finally let them go because we could tell they were hunting. But they were three beautiful cheetahs. They were beautiful.
You know where I was the last time I heard a lion roar like that?
Trinidad and Tobago, yeah, that's where my folks is. In fact, my dad's up here right now. He lives in Ecuador.
So, yeah, people are starting to realize that they can make it work globally. They don't have to live in the US of A. So,
is there a film market in Africa?
Oh my gosh, it's huge. I was in Ghana at the airport, and apparently there was some big influencer there that had 15 million followers, 20 million followers. Like, who is that? I'm like, you don't know who that is? That's so-and-so. It's the influencer. And everybody just left their post and wanted to take pictures with this person. So obviously the biggest film market besides South Africa is Nollywood in Nigeria. And keep in mind, Nigeria has, almost 200 million people, 20 million alone in Lagos alone. And they're pitching out films all the time. And they're paying decent budgets in terms of for Africa. I mean, they're paying Africans, Nigerians, I should say, to act $15,000-$20,000 US. I mean, think of it. That's nothing for us here, but to live on the continent over there, $10,000 a shoot, you're paying your house.
I wanted to mention to you that the website maybe needs there's something that's like a security feature or something on the website that needs to be updated.
On our website?
Yeah.
Well, you need to help me with that because I don't know.
I was meaning to tell you about it.
So in other words, it is secure, but on the home page it says unsecure, so they need to.
And I know this is not the right time to do this, but I gotta check this. It's fixed. We fixed the website. Some people hear stories about filmmakers that didn't go to film school.
Sure.
What are some pros and cons about film school for someone who may be debating, should I or shouldn't I, because of these other stories?
Yeah, I mean, certainly those are out there, and it's a very competitive field. The advantages of going to film school is, you develop that filmmaker mindset that I was talking about. You get access to a network of alumni or professionals. Professionals like coming to the university to speak with students. They have a captive audience who's going to listen, and then a lot of times you can turn that into a networking opportunity, so you can start to establish those. It's a sort of a protected moment to try some things out, right? You're in school, you can try out different things, figure out where your voice is and that kind of thing in a way that isn't necessarily dependent on your paycheck. And then a lot of our students can take advantage of the honors college, which allows you to do an honors thesis. So you can leave college as an undergrad with a calling card film and say, like, here is my thesis film. So again, when somebody says, I really like what you're doing here, I really like talking to you, have you ever made anything? You can say, yes. Not only did I make something, but it was vetted by faculty who looked at it and said, like, yes, this is connected to the theory and history and lineages of filmmaking and makes sense and is legible to those who are in the industry.
Back in the day in film, it used to be short, like silent clips, you know what I mean? Whereas to today on social media, we have short form, but we also have, audio, music, dialogue to go with the visuals. So, like I said before, it's definitely growing and easier to do and still make that short form, good form, Peter, or long form content.
And the form, right? You start to see this development of the narrative film as opposed to the cinema of attractions, which were more like viral videos in the 1900s and early teens, where it was like short that were silent, that were all about motion, and then you start to get the evolution of narrative. So I would say more cyclical than evolution.
What's your favorite genre of wardrobe?
My favorite genre of wardrobe?
Yes.
Gosh.
He has everybody this, don't worry.
Yeah.
Cut there.
My favorite genre of wardrobe.
We'll cut after, just keep going.
That's a good question.
We have plenty of card.
I've never thought of what's my favorite genre of wardrobe. In all honesty, it'd have to be science fiction. We got much more interesting things with, armor and interesting tech, things like that. So I guess it would have to be science fiction.
I haven't given it a ton of thought. The first thing that came to mind after you mentioned it was like period pieces, right? That often get talked about. And then I remember, maybe a decade ago, everyone was obsessed with the wardrobe in Mad Men.
When it comes to filmmaking, it's important to keep the plot of things secret. Do you find it a little bit annoying to have to keep those things secret, the plot and everything, or do you like keeping secrets?
If you knew what was buried in my basement, I like and respect the fact that there are secrets. I like and respect it. I understand it.
Understanding filmmaking is a lot like trying to comprehend a legal document. Speaking of legal documents, I typed up my own legal documents. Here's a non-disclosure agreement for this documentary.
Just trust me. You hired me because you trust me to play this character, right? Trust that I'm not gonna blow the story for no reason.
So yeah, there's so many stories of people that either go to film school or don't, who get right away into filmmaking or who take a different route.
Yeah.
So
I look at it kind of like, so it's like a water, like a creek, a lake, in a forest, right? Maybe start off as a puddle, right, as an idea. And I think you're trying to hit the ocean, you're trying to find that goal. You're trying to find your way through this forest of whatever it is. And there's so many different paths you can take. And sometimes something that seems so close to you that you can grab, you kind of get detoured along the way with different things, with choices that you make, right?
Yeah.
But I think you're always trying to end up at that one goal that you have, that you set inside yourself. I want to be a creator, I want to make something, I want to be a part of something. And you're always trying to find that, and there's all these little decisions in life, obstacles that you have to consider. Okay, I have to put this away, I'm moving towns for another job, or there's a lot of different things that get in the way, but at the very end of the day, you're trying to get to that goal.
Right.
it's interesting how life takes you.
Filmmaking is all about the art, how creative you can make a thing, a project, a film, a movie.
Mhm.
Some people say, well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a creative industry, but it's about the business, the money aspect of it.
I think early on you need to explore your voice. It's really more about the artistic element when you're starting off as a individual creator, whatever it is, as a writer, cinematographer, director, be engrossed in your art. But once you start playing with money, I think that's when you kind of have to be considerate in a way. Like, they're not going to offer an amateur director to direct something with like $200 million budget.
Right.
So I think as you get higher up in the industry and you kind of have a name for yourself, you either fall into, I can check off everything that's on your list for producers, or you can be like, it's not like it's a choice, but like Christopher Nolan, Stanley Kubrick.
Verisimilitude, it means making something appear 100% realistic. That was a word used when they did the first Superman, that they used during the production. We're going for verisimilitude.
I think what they're doing with the Superman, the new Superman, I think what they're doing with that is kind of cool, because they're making it as an homage to the original Superman stories that reflects the older story. The original.
Yeah, the original Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even the way it was filmed, I know, what was that one shot with him flying with his face up against the camera? And
where he's holding that ice thing?
He's not holding the ice, but he's just like flying. And people were like, why does this look weird?
Worst thing I've ever seen in my life, that some people think that hyperbole.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, we used a real camera and we used his actual face. We didn't CGI him.
They're cooking. These Superman flight scenes are about to go crazy.
To be a critic,
yeah,
I think maybe they just did not have the money, but at the same time, you got to look at it from the perspective of that technology was very new. Maybe they didn't have the know-how to, all right, we got to get this crane, we got to have a giant green screen wall, we got to close the studio in, we got to do the crane and make this exact angle and come down, and then match the background that we overlay with that exact same angle.
It's crazy.
Like, it would have been impossible. It would have been so technical and impossible to do that. The way to do it was to make it look bad. But from their perspective, it was amazing. Because you ask people now, like, hey, did you see that movie, Superman? Yeah, I remember seeing that. It looked so good at the time. But then they see it now and they're like, oh my God, it looks so bad.
Yeah. It's funny. It's also the other way though. Like The Thing. You know, the practical effects in the 80s. I think it's an 80s movie, right?
Yeah.
So like, it looks sick. Obviously it's like puppetry.
Right.
But there's something about it that was just like charming. Suspension of disbelief, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it just felt real. And when they made the remake, they just did all CGI.
Yeah.
And I think that just...
Wait a minute. Hold on.
You lost like the core of it.
The soul of it, like you were saying, yeah.
Yeah.
The Thing 2 was never a movie in the 80s.
The base is gone, Colonel. It looks like massive explosives damage.
Today is Thursday, May 8th.
Understood. Keep your team together and
The Thing 2, 2025.
get them to shelter as quickly as you can.
2 weeks ago, me and Adrian recorded our interview just over 2 weeks ago. What's going on?
What is your favorite genre of films?
My favorite genre is psychological thriller.
With the advent of AI and different tools in AI, are there any concerns with people in the film industry? You mentioned AI.
Yes and no.
Can you talk a little bit more about that, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's causing a concern, and I was happy to see that the unions responded by trying to come up with some protection to standardize, like, this is how we're going to treat it, and this is how our likeness is going to work within that. I think that was an important step. I think it's probably going to evolve similarly to other technological changes in the industry, and that it's going to hurt entry-level positions, and we're going to have those entry-level positions learn how to work with it, right? But at the end of the day, it's a technology that works on creating derivative material, right? It looks at what is a part of what has come before, and then it thinks about how to recreate something with a prompt based on what's come before. So the data set is limited in that way, right? The human mind is not. And so if you were making derivative content in the past, this could be a problem for you. But we really try and get you to sort of like develop your individual voice and come up with something original that comes from you, and that should be AI proof. So that's what we sort of stressing to our students.
As far as like AI and voice actors, what that is, you can clone someone's voice, just using a couple seconds of their voice or a couple minutes of their voice to generate, what you need, for the project.
I don't know. Depends on how much it pays. You gotta think about in perpetuity. You might think $2,000 is a lot of money if you're thinking this month. But if your voice is being used for infinity, $2,000, man, you should have asked for more.
Are there any pieces of advice that you've seen filmmakers give in interviews that sticks out in your memory as like a really good piece of advice? Anything you've seen lately?
I'm not sure I'd call it advice, but Quentin Tarantino asked a question in return, and his question was, what's the movie that hasn't been seen because you haven't made it yet?
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino said that.
Is what's a movie you want to see? What is a movie that what is it you want to contribute? All right, and make it maybe just even slightly a little less about you yourself. I'm assuming most of you guys haven't made a feature yet. All right, but there's a lot of features that have been made before you. There's a whole lot of movies you could see. A whole lot of movies you could watch without you. What's the movie that we have never seen because you haven't made it? And make that movie. My advice as far as like when it comes to
Is there anything that is on your mind? I don't want to pry too deeply here, but is there anything on your mind creative-wise?
Is there like a movie that hasn't been seen?
Yeah, because I haven't
made it yet? Yeah. Humpty Dumpty falling up the wall.
You sound nervous about this.
Well, it's a big deal. We were going to play at the Cinerama Dome, open there, and play there exclusively for 2 weeks. I grew up in Los Angeles, so I think of the Cinerama Dome as a real big deal. Disney, who owns Star Wars, decided, well, you know what? Maybe we want to play throughout the entire holiday season. We're going to go to the Cinerama Dome and say that they can't honor their contract to show The Hateful Eight. And the Cinerama Dome said, no, we have a deal. As of yesterday, Disney came to the ArcLight people and said, no, you are going to play Star Wars in the Cinerama Dome for the entire holiday season. And if you honor your deal with The Hateful Eight, we will not allow you to have Star Wars, the biggest movie in the world. We will not allow you to show it at any of your ArcLight movie theaters. Oh. We're talking about...
I love Quentin Tarantino. He's got this peculiar way of doing and dealing with things. My advice to Quentin is maybe they're just trying to recover a little bit of their debt. Disney has a massive, massive debt. Oh, 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Model making is one of the aspects of filmmaking that requires the most artistic, hands-on capabilities. Model making is maybe one of the most overlooked and most diminishing aspects of filmmaking. Hopefully it makes a comeback. Are you concerned about a little bit of like maybe losing practical special effects?
I am also concerned with the fact that CGI and now AI takes over a lot of the practical effects work. There's just something about creating a puppet or creating a model, putting it in front of the camera and having real light bounce off it that to this day still trumps everything else, in my opinion. Because I'm also a special effects coordinator, so I do see it from a little different perspective than some directors. It's always, we always seem to say that practical effects are coming back. They never left. It's more of a thing of directors are pushing now more to get things in front of the camera because they want to react to them. They want to see how the actors react to them. You know, you go back and look at stuff like Star Wars, they're acting to a tennis ball on a stick, and you know it can be done, and it can be done well. But it's a lot of when something's in front of you, you react better. It's bottom line.
So I've come to the conclusion about maybe my idea was taken, or I've come to this conclusion that I couldn't have even made the idea if I wanted to at that point in my life, and the idea itself needed to be taken from me and given into the hands of someone more capable of getting it done.
Where I was headed about concepts and how there's kind of collective consciousness, I think, when a good idea is born, wherever it is born, it occurs to other people, maybe simultaneously, maybe after that, I don't know. But think about how the Mayans were building pyramid-like structures while the Egyptians were building pyramids, while, and you know, there's other places in the world where at that time, that, you know, what, 2000, 3000 BC, they were all building these triangular shaped, pyramid shaped structures. And they were the first ones who ever thought of it, but it was happening on 3 different continents simultaneously.
I made a trailer and wow, just wow. Showed my friend and he gave me some advice.
It's hard to wrap your head around, you know? It's a lot. You gotta have highs and lows.
Yeah.
To hook people.
Right.
Like this chicken.
Those hooks, man. There's a great debate among independent filmmakers.
I tell people,
Nonsense.
Independent filmmakers shop at B&H. Pro filmmakers shop at Home Depot.
Yep.
But before I address that, let me tell you what I'm doing. I've always wanted to get into film, whether it be writing or camera work or anything. But life happened, and I took a different route. But one day, after saving up enough money, I said,
"Go make your damn movie and shut up." Yeah, Quentin Tarantino said that.
How fast can I do it? Will it even be any good? I have no idea what I'm even doing.
You've heard the term hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait. Oh my God, yes.
Hurry up and wait is what this business is kind of based on.
I have barely any equipment. I have a GoPro. I don't have a microphone. I only have about $2,000 that I'd saved up after working. Will this even turn out well? Can I even make a movie with nothing, with no team, no crew, nobody on my side? How fast can I do it? This is crazy, dude. I feel like I am in pre-production, post-production, and production at the same time.
You are.
You like magic?
Of course, that's what filmmaking is. It's a magic trick.
Everybody's talking about the AI and how it's going to change.
And if we look at the history, these are moments that have happened before, right?
Now this. How fast can I make a documentary? How fast can I make anything? What am I even doing? I'm gonna find out. Either the hard way or the good way. How hard is it to make a movie?
I got to do a silicone chest appliance that was applied to Adam Driver, and he had to pull his heart out of his chest.
Matt Robinson, he's another self-made man. Came from Detroit.
This is like in The Incredibles when Mr. Incredible comes in and sits down, you know.
So, everything's up for debate.
So this is the John Wick documentary trailer. They're making a documentary about how they made John Wick, the struggles they went through.
Is the pain worth it? Yeah, it's just a lot of pain.
Them having doubts, them not being able to find the money to fund it because they did it independently.
We were a tiny little movie. We're shut down. I don't know how you find $6.5 million by Monday.
I only have about $2,000 that I'd saved up after working. Will this even turn out well? Can I even make a movie with nothing, with no team, no crew, nobody on my side?
Everything about this documentary is so similar to what I'm doing, but on a huge level.
This is either genius or the worst thing I've ever made.
Will this even turn out well? How fast can I do it? Will it even be any good? I have no idea what I'm even doing.
This movie's about vengeance, not John Wick's. Ours.
This is fucking terrible.
Will this even turn out well?
How many more hits can this movie take?
I feel like I'm in competition with John Wick right now.
You think you're in competition with John Wick?
I can't compete against this. I don't know, man. So initially, okay, I was thinking like, how are y'all struggling to make a Keanu Reeves movie?
They're struggling, trust me.
Today is May the 6th. Quantum mechanics. It's complicated. The uncertainty principle.
Okay, let's try this again. Today is May the 6th, the next day. The uncertainty principle. No, today is May the 9th.
The premiere date of Wick is Pain.
Uncertainty indeed. Take any two properties of filmmaking. If you have a director and a cinematographer, and the director wants X to happen, but the cinematographer knows about Y, whatever the factor is. The properties of the director and the cinematographer may be at odds with one another, and there's resistance. Okay? This dichotomy of personality in filmmaking can extend production time if there's arguments or disagreements or this, that, and the other. And momentum needs to remain in order for the project to get completed on time. So the uncertainty principle applies to filmmaking as such.
Long before Hook, Spielberg faced another difficult on-set dynamic with Robert Shaw during the production of Jaws. The film's legendary status is well known, but the conditions under which it was made were fraught with technical and interpersonal challenges.
I've been trying to figure out exactly what it is that I can do or say to make this one scene happen. And I don't know exactly how. I've thought about it over and over and over and over and over and over, constantly. Okay. How can I interview How can I capture this one moment that I want to catch?
What is it?
It seems impossible. 4 hours ago. Monday, May the 12th.
No, I'm gonna be 63 and I'm going, that was my dream. I literally was like, I want to do this the rest of my life, please. I will never take it for granted. It is a privilege, and I know it is, and I feel that way.
Thinking about that too, an almost 63-year-old Tom Cruise. One of the standout lines in the movie was, "Our lives are the sum of our choices." Right? And when you think about that and you reflect on that, is there a moment in your life that stands out for you that maybe even defines this journey?
I think there's moments that define this journey, and there's moments of being willing to, when I was laying there in taps and I was trying to absorb everything.
We were in an explosive situation which jeopardized the entire
my life, my dreams, that this is who I am. For me, it's stories and cinema. The potential to be able to travel the world
And change the world in a big way or small, through a film or even something simple like the way we drive. I study traffic patterns, which could save real lives. And I've discovered, the more you know, the easier it will be for you to make a film.
This time I went through, I said, you know what? When I read it, I just went, this is it. This is exactly it. When you drive past an accident, it's not like anyone else. As you drive past, you know you have to do something about it because you know you're the only one that can really help.
What can I help?
Let's get all.
I don't know, any of this is not mine.
I think that's right.
This is all.
All right. Who's in the driveway?
I am.
Okay, let's move out the driveway.
Yep.
We're wrapped at the house.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm about to send the text to say yes, but I can't lie.
This was the hardest thing I have ever done. I had no script, I had no plan, and I went into this with 3 words as guiding principles: serendipity, synchronicity, and uncertainty. And I learned more than I ever could have if I didn't do this. I learned that maybe I'm not a filmmaker, I don't know. What are you? Maybe you're a bird photographer.
Northern Perula.
Maybe you just love photography. Maybe you're a podcaster. Maybe you're a rapper. Maybe you're a musician. Maybe you're an artist. What route will you take?
The director's job is to be the audience. Your job is to look at the monitor or watch your actor and know where you are in the story at any given moment. So you're seeing what is the arc of the character. Hold on, I've got a rib cramp from having my leg up on the thing. I gotta stop. I can do this one again. Yeah. The director's job is always to be the audience.
But no matter who you are, no matter your audience size, big or small, whether you're alone or not, let nothing stop you. You will find help along the way.
Never let anybody tell you you can't do what you in your heart know you can. And the other thing is simply to use what you're using right now to get this interview, and you can make an entire movie on that device right there.
Use what you got. You got an iPhone, use it. Shoot, create, create something every day. Don't matter what it is. Create, create, create.
These empty theater parking lots don't mean a declining market at the box office. It means filled homes. Gotta get this shot. Okay. I started this with just a GoPro with the intention of making a promo video for camera operating.
Where is it?
Ended up going on an entire journey, making this entire documentary, and finding a potential solution to a major
Ready,
problem.
tighty. Lifty loosey. That's right. Opposite. Opposite. May the 4th be with you. May the 4th be with you. Come on. Get off. There we go.
This was the hardest thing I have ever done. I had no script, I had no plan, and I went into this with 3 words as guiding principles: serendipity, synchronicity, and uncertainty. I mean, think about this. How terrible of an idea is it to quit your job to pursue something that is not going to make you any money? I'm about to be homeless now, which I guess isn't funny, but you know what? This shot right here was all worth it. Somehow I was thinking, I've got to get there, I've got to get there, I've got to get there. I've got to get the sun right before it goes below the trees. And think of this. I got the shot just as it was going below the trees. Maybe it's not that amazing, but all the oddball jobs I picked up along the way, and despite not having any gas, I would ask. And somehow it would all work out in the end.
What does it look like? Oh, it's below the trees. It's below the trees. I got it. I got it. I got it. Yes.
Without ever speaking a word, I asked the universe for help, and somehow every uncertainty answered. All the synchronicities, the Trinidad and Tobago connection, all the shots that kept lining up perfectly in edit. A friend who let me use his camera. A friend from Florida who invited us to celebrate a graduation. Serendipity even on the wall in that home. And all the uncertainty. All the technical difficulties. All the oddball jobs I picked up along the way, and despite not having any gas, I would ask. And somehow it would all work out in the end. So much opportunity if you just take a look around and open your eyes to it.
That part of the going to the theater experience, walking up to the ticket booth and getting your ticket. Yeah, ticket booths have gone away, and I miss that. Being as that I grew up working in theaters when I was a kid, I really missed the box office. I used to go in and sit down and talk to the box office lady for a long time. That was always fun.
No conversations were planned. So many serendipitous moments I couldn't even include half of them if I wanted to. It'd be too long. The same violinist. Miles apart. Different days. Playing the same song. At the very same time that I spontaneously went to go film. I couldn't have planned any of this if I wanted to. What universal force helped me do this? I don't know how to express the awe that I feel. I don't even know if you'll be able to see what happened. In my eyes, something magical took place. All of the perfect imperfections, all the serendipities, all the uncertainty, all the synchronicities amounted to, well, whatever this is. I definitely found out how difficult it is to make movies. Especially with no plan, just a vision, just an idea. So, what's next for me? Maybe I'll go into trucking. But whatever the future holds, this one most important thing I've discovered. In life, we all have the same story, but a little different. If you just look close enough.